But dollars are losing value at 1 to 2% a month. Bitcoin's accreting in value, and pesos are losing value at 3 or 4% a month. The news today about Turkish lira, it's collapsing. It's certainly double the rate of the dollar. It created some clarity about what will happen in our monetary policy over the next 4 years, maybe the next 8 years.
Yeah.
But B, it brought in a set of regulators that are fairly progressive.
Welcome to Dream Richer. Do you think the feds would ever go after Bitcoin? It's a well-known narrative that crypto poses a major threat to the conventional banking system. On the other hand, there have also been conspiracies that claim Satoshi, the inventor of Bitcoin, was actually a prisoner of the government. Regardless of these almost absurd-sounding claims, Mr. Michael Saylor argues that the future has never looked better for Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. As he argues, November 2020 was a turning point for crypto because the elections opened doors for many pro-Bitcoin senators and regulators to take positions in authority. For example, Cynthia Lummis, a pro-Bitcoin member of the United States Senate, recently unveiled her plans to introduce a comprehensive crypto bill that will cover everything from how cryptocurrencies are taxed and categorized to consumer protections. The bill will also propose creating a new entity to oversee the digital asset market that will operate under the joint jurisdiction of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Lummis is a member of the Senate Banking Committee. She has repeatedly said that Bitcoin is a great store of value. The senator recently confirmed that she owns about 5 Bitcoins and has no plan to sell them. Her BTC is part of a broad portfolio that includes her family's cattle ranches. Today, Michael Saylor argues what the future holds for Bitcoin. If you find the video helpful, then don't forget to subscribe. Let's get right into it.
If you look at the Federal Reserve, they went from inflating the money supply at 7% a year to inflating the money supply at 21% a year. So when we went from 7% monetary inflation to 21% monetary inflation in the Western world, that was like pouring gasoline on the fire, right? And then I think that the election, if you recall, I think Bitcoin on November, it was trading 13,000, it was trading in the teens. The election was a big event, and the incoming administration, I think, it created some clarity about what will happen in our monetary policy over the next 4 years, maybe the next 8 years.
Yeah.
But B, it brought in a set of regulators that are fairly progressive, and Gary Gensler taught the class at MIT, so he spent 3 years studying this. And if you parse all the testimony of Janet Yellen and Gary Gensler, your conclusion is that election brought in a progressive set of regulators that view Satoshi's innovation as real, and that think that Bitcoin is a key platform upon which to build a 21st century economy. Well, Bitcoin survived the pandemic. It institutionalized. When Microstrategy bought Bitcoin, there were no publicly traded companies holding it. Now you have Square and Tesla and Marathon and Microstrategy and 24 other companies and 12 public Bitcoin miners and ETFs. Okay, so it institutionalized, it nationalized, it westernized, right? You have a world of 6 billion people relying upon the Western technology stack, which is the English language, the US currency, Western law, Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Bitcoin, Twitter.
In the words of Michael Saylor, what we are seeing is the beginning of a brighter future for Bitcoin. With all the widespread alarm due to Fed raising interest hikes and printing money nonstop, experts believe that Bitcoin will replace fiat currency by 2050. Reeking these findings further, 29% think it will happen as soon as 2035 and an additional 20% by 2040, according to the Finder's survey of a panel of 42 cryptocurrency experts. On the other hand, 44% of panelists don't expect hyper-Bitcoinization to ever occur. However, adoption by corporations and institutional investors paired with a loose monetary policy and high asset inflation will propel Bitcoin to six figures before the end of this year, according to predicted projections. As they argue, more funds are joining the space. The first country has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, and we have several exchange-listed companies now owning Bitcoin. I believe this trend will continue onwards.
And then you have the Eastern Bloc, which sits on the Chinese language, the CNY, and the stack of Chinese technology companies and the like. And you can see that power dynamic. And it was very important that Bitcoin slide in as the monetary protocol for the West and not be deemed as the monetary protocol for the East. But dollars are losing value at 1% to 2% a month. Bitcoin's accreting in value, and pesos are losing value at 3 or 4% a month. The news today about Turkish lira, it's collapsing. It's certainly double the rate of the dollar. And the bolivar is collapsing at 4%, 5% a month. The other implication is just we all should buy Bitcoin, right?
Exactly.
But if you look at that, the only way you can theoretically hold value in an environment where the money supply is expanding at 10% is to grow your cash flows 20%. So all of the gains in the S&P index or NASDAQ all come down to FANG stocks. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google,
That's
Microsoft.
Right. The top 9 of the top 500 generated 80% of the return over the last 5 years. That's ridiculous.
There is no, so another way to say it is, before Bitcoin, the store of value is a big tech monopoly. Okay. A big tech monopoly, a dominant digital network dematerializing something with a monopoly. That's the only store of value left. Credit, sovereign debt is not a store of value. Value stocks are not a store of value. Utility companies with dividend yields, they're not stores of value because they can't grow their cash flows 20% a year. Now, growing your cash flow 20% a year while the Fed prints 7% more money works for Amazon for a decade. But if the Fed prints 20% more money, you have to grow your cash flows 30, 35% a year. What kind of company can grow its cash flows 30% a year for the next 5 years?
It's clear from Michael Saylor's explanation that the Feds will continue to devalue the currency. This will not only affect crypto, but everything humans depend on, such as the housing industry, rent, food supply and demand, fuel prices, and economy at large. Even though the economy will take a big hit due to these devaluations. However, the future looks better than ever for crypto. Even though over the past month, crypto has seen a quite depressing run, with some coins, such as Luna, being wiped out over 90% of their valuation. However, Bitcoin remains of strong confidence in Mr. Saylor's book. Do you think we will see more pro-Bitcoin regulators join the space? Will there be some sort of civil war fought on Bitcoin amongst the politicians? To learn more about the latest crypto news, watch these videos here.